One breath from the ocean, one breath from the land. Now let's all together breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do it again. Inhale. Exhale. Yes, every second breath you take comes from the ocean, a process the scientists call primary productivity. It's the conversion of carbon dioxide with nutrients and that original big green compound chlorophyll that absorbs the sun's energy and converts it to oxygen and cellular growth. On the land, we see green trees, we have grasses. You can see primary productivity all around you. In the ocean, it's a different story. In the ocean, there are microscopic plants, phytoplankton, that exist throughout the entire ocean in approximately the top 100 meters, yet they produce 50% of the oxygen on this planet. So when I think of the ocean and I think of the land, I think of sustainability. I think of connectivity. As an environmental scientist and an oceanographer, I've given this concept of sustainability a lot of thought. And I don't think, as some are trying to do, that it's possible to make one definition, because it may mean something different to you and to other people, as it should. To me, sustainability about the planet talks about the sustainability of humans in a richly biodiverse planet. A planet that we can leave to our children and our grandchildren. And when I look at the kids, I think about the necessities of life. Water, air, clean air, food, healthy food, and shelter. But what keeps me up at night is water. The biggest enemy of water on this planet is population growth, uncontrolled population growth. There are 7 billion people on this planet, and it's projected that by the year 2050, there will be between 9 and 10 billion people on this planet. In the 21st century, it's very likely that there will be wars fought over water, not oil. For there are substitutes to oil, but there is no substitute whatsoever for water. Let me give you some examples. In China, where 21% of the population of the world lives, they have only 7% of the world's fresh water. In India, where 17% of the population lives, they only have 4% of the world's fresh water, and of that, 2/3 of it is already polluted and is unfit for human consumption. That's pretty scary. But what's even scarier is where that water comes from. It comes from the Himalayan mountains. One source of water to feed 50% of the human population. And that brings me to my second point, climate change. The biggest unknown in water, and our ability to predict water in the future in your lives, is climate change. What happens as the globe warms up to the water on the top of these mountains? The glaciers start to melt. The snow comes down as rain. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I have a sneaky suspicion that we are going to see some of the most unbelievable flooding that one can imagine. And remember, that's 50% of the world's population relies on the water from the Himalayan mountains. The water cycle. The water cycle is so unbelievable. It takes salt water that is so salty that if you and I drink it, we get sick. If you drink too much of it, we die. It evaporates it into the atmosphere. It rains it down as snow and rain around the world. But not only does the water cycle cleanse the water, it cleanses the air as well. How many of you have gone out after a thunderstorm and smelled the fresh air? How many of you have looked after a good rainstorm and seen that you can actually see further in the atmosphere? Because the water cycle not only cleans the water, it also cleans the air. So what this means to me is that we have to reconnect with the environment. We cannot continue to go through life with reckless abandon and ignore the environment. I connect every day as I go onto campus. I enjoy getting up early. I actually come onto campus when there's very few people. But there's no lack of life. I hear a red-shouldered hawk circling around the building that I live in, and work in, mostly live. I hear this red-shouldered hawk because she has a nest up there. I see the finches, the juncos, the warblers in the trees, rabbits, squirrels. And yes, a little bit later that day, I even see a butterfly. The world around us is beautiful, and it is our means to sustainability. The very essence of sustainability is Mother Nature, the water cycle. And folks, time is flying. It's very close, and Mother Nature will take back this planet. I think that to continue to abuse the environment and not respect the environment is going to be a disaster in the making. Make no mistake, the planet will survive. The question is, will we as a species survive? Now let's focus and bring it home to Southern California. Where do you think water comes from in California? We turn on the tap, we get clean water. But do you realize that 60% of the water in Southern California is imported? Now, in Southern California, from Santa Barbara to San Diego, we have an $880 billion economic engine that relies on 60% imported water. 30% comes from the San Francisco Bay Delta area, and 30% comes from the Colorado. But you know what's really scary? The chances of losing either one or both of those supplies is 100%. It's only a matter of time. In the Bay Delta region, there's very likely to be an earthquake. The water that comes from the Colorado goes over the San Bernardino Mountains or through the mountains. That's right over the San Andreas Fault. Last year there were 400 earthquakes. They were deep, they were small. But it's only a matter of time before we lose 30 or 60% of the water in Southern California. I think we have an imperative, and that is to put our thinking hats on, to check our egos in the closet, and come up with some solutions. I had an idea the other day. I call it Cooper's cookie cutter concept. The groundwater replenishment system was built at a cost of $500 million. They talk about spending $9 billion to improve the conveyance of water from the north down to the south. Why don't we take our cookie cutter and make 18 of these groundwater replenishment systems? Now, there's a caveat, as there is in everything. You, the public, are going to have to accept, toilet to tap. Yep, that's right. We are going to have to do toilet to tap in order for this to work. But you know, that sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? It's not. These butterflies love it. If they love it, why can't we? If you go to the groundwater replenishment system and you look at what they're doing, I'm going next Friday if anybody wants to go along, you will see that not only is it a reliable, feasible source of drinking water, it is by far the cheapest and the most sustainable for Southern California. So if we run the numbers and we make 18 of these cookie cutters, we're going to save enough water to reduce our imported water by 50%, by one half. And we're going to save $500 million a year in water treatment cost. Now that's talking pretty sweet. So I have 2 points that I want to leave with you tonight. The first one's very simple. When you go home or back to your dorm room or wherever, think about water. Think about how you can conserve water. Take a shorter shower. Some may think maybe you could shower with a friend. That saves water. If you have a house, reduce the amount of water that you use on your lawn. But save water. The second one is the fun one. And it's one that I give my class every day as an assignment. When in the privacy of your own bathroom, when it's yellow, let it mellow. When it's brown, flush it down. Thank you.